Okay. Listen to the sweet, sweet public domain beats of our countdown timer, our unofficial theme song.
Makes me dance.
Welcome. How are you, my friend?
I am doing good.
Good.
We missed the week, so we pushed back 1 week.
I appreciate that. That was me. And I had it was actually a nice time. My best friend from college did an Airbnb in Narragansett. I'm in South Kingstown, and his wife, and his 2 kids. One of them is my goddaughter. Came and spent a few days, so I felt I already was committed to doing Pigs Wilty. Like that, too many people were counting on me, so I was like, "Oh, Jerrod won't mind." So thank you for pushing it back so I can hang out.
More than happy. Honestly, I wish I had thought about it earlier, because at my work, it's a small company, and the boss has a boat, and every once in a while we'll do these boat trips, and he did it on Wednesday, but it was too late for me to RSVP and change. It's a lot of socializing, It's been a while.
It is, and I've been doing, I for one have been doing a little bit more. I went to a movie this week, and I've been. Last night I met up with friends at our local sports bar hangout and to get wings, because I'm not much of a drinker, and I'm like, okay, now I'm not even doing like a meal out, I'm just going to socialize. So I think I'm feeling much more comfortable, but it was odd, and we ran into folks and they joined us, and that felt odd, because all of a sudden it was like 6 of us, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I'm doing what the CDC says, so that's how I feel.
Eat wings. That's what the CDC said.
Absolutely. Oh, before we get into our topic tonight, let me talk to you. I've been you're known for the rants on this show. You're the one that's known for the rants, but I have one.
I'm strapping in for it.
All right, I have one. Although it's going to be low energy rant, because I've had my rant a few times and I'm calm, but. One of my favorite foods is a straight up buffalo wing, not doctored. I had a friend in the 90s. I worked down in North Carolina. He was from Buffalo and taught me what a traditional buffalo wing from the Anchor Bar, which is the bar that they supposedly started from. I've actually been to Buffalo and had them there, so I understand not only what I described, but then when I had them, I was like, oh, this is what everybody's talking about. And so that's kind of my gold standard that I go with wings by. So there's this place in nobody's watching yet, so I feel like I can name them. There's a place in South Kingstown called Benny's Wing Shack, and their tagline is Benny's Famous Wings, right? So they're a little bit on the pricey side, so it isn't. I could rationalize it as a meal, but not as like an appetizer or that sort of thing. Like they're beyond appetizer price. So the other day, they're next to a laundromat. So I was doing my laundry and I had time to kill. So I was like, all right, I'm going to get some wings. I'm planning to go out to dinner later. This will be a nice little try. I'll do it. I need to see if these are really good wings. So I go. First of all, wings, when I say wings, how you can have other flavors and make good wings. I'm not saying that. I just feel when you're going to assess somebody on how they do wings, the buffalo is the gold standard. If you were advertising buffalo wings, like
absolutely fair. Absolutely.
Okay, so I mean, I maybe I would like the barbecue, the buff barbecue better. Maybe I'd like garlic wings, whatever. But you got to start somewhere, and you got to level the playing field. So I order up their smallest batch, which is 6 wings, $12 for 6 wings. First of all. Yeah, right. I mean, these weren't gold plated. So I get them, and first of all, first strike against them, they're breaded.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, bone in. I don't mind a breaded chicken finger or boneless wings. Like, I'm fine. You can bread it at that point, but I'm also not using those as the standard, right? Because they're made differently. The chicken to sauce ratio is different. All that type of stuff.
totally different food groups.
A totally different food group. Exactly. Barely chicken. So that was one strike against them. Next, there were those jumbo wings, which to me only says, "Oh, you're extra fatty." Like, there's a layer. Wings are wings are wings, and they just, so there was a little fat. Although it wasn't as bad as I thought when I saw how big they were. That's my problem with grocery store wings. If you get like frozen in a bag and they're those giant, it's just greasy fat. That's what I feel.
Yeah.
So, but then I get it. First of all, they're not coated completely around the wing.
Oh.
So it was a poor toss. And I heard the guy toss it in a bowl, because that's how you do it. You deep fry them, put them in a bowl with your sauce. And yeah, exactly. This motion, right? It's just like, if you can't flip a pancake by doing the frying pan, are you really making a pancake? Although I don't do that, but that's fine. So they weren't covered. And then they doctored the buffalo sauce. There was some spice that didn't belong to be in the buffalo sauce. So ever since then, I have said, in Rhode Island, I haven't done an exhaustive search, so no one come at me. But and I want to know. Now we have some viewers now. I want to know where people think, based on my criteria, non-breaded, deep fried, traditional barbecue sauce, totally covered. Where are some of the best wings in Rhode Island? Right now, I'm saying they're at Camden's. It's a sports bar in Wakefield, Rhode Island, because they meet all those criteria. And but I don't think I think there must be better out there, because they're certainly not the best I've ever had. But they are the one that scratched my itch right now. So I really want to issue a challenge to folks to send me, and I will. If I get enough recommendations, I will go and travel and try these wings. So that's my low energy rant for today.
I will, because I love wings. I love wings. Wings on 5. It used to be part of the Wings to Go chain. When it's good, it's as good as I can find, but it's hit or miss when I go there. Sometimes they're not sauced all the way through, get the sauces wrong.
That's a good, it should be consistent.
Yep.
And I used to really rate Buffalo Wild Wings for a chain up there, but they've gone down in quality as well. I used to, when I was down in North Carolina, that was a place that even my friend from Buffalo was like, okay, this is an acceptable wing, right? And now I just feel like they've expanded to so many other sauces. Their Buffalo has gone downhill. Let's see, we actually have some comments. First of all, hey, Amy. Amy came in second place in this joke writing contest that
very good.
Yeah, congratulations. I was psyched. She and I had talked a little bit about there was some bonus points on video game music, which I was flattered she thought I might know. I don't, but I did.
She got it though.
Yeah. So it was excellent. So, and then Sam's here. Oh, good. I'm glad this is what you need. To be honest with you, it's kind of what I needed today too, Sam. Little Jerrod time. It's always good to have a little Jerrod time. Sam, I have so many friends that cannot eat chicken on the bone, and I totally understand that. It is probably one of the more carnivore-y things to do. So I totally get it. And I do like a boneless chicken wing. Just for me, my gold standard is on the bone. But no, and I found if they do a good on the bone, they usually do a really good boneless wing as well. Used to love Wings to Go. I've never been to Wings to Go. Now I've been to Wings Over in a few cities because they have like Wings Over Providence, Wing Over, and they're okay. Yeah. But I've never been.
That's what Wings on 5 used to be, and they kept some of their sauces. But they're confusing about it. They're not as consistent. I used to live near a Wings to Go in Virginia. And I went to like half price wings night. My girlfriend and I would walk there. It was great.
Yeah. Let's see. So far, one more round to go for her comedy writing, her joke writing. Yeah. I'm a chicken nugget person all day, all night. Fair. Yeah.
I don't trust somebody who says they don't like chicken nuggets.
Yeah, and I would really have a hard time if anybody said I like chicken wings, but I don't think the reverse. That's a maniac. That's somebody that is on a serial killer watch list. Like, I really do believe that. If you're saying I don't like boneless wings. I only like wing on. There's something wrong with you. That's too aggressive for me. That is way too aggressive.
I'll tell you, I love wings more than chicken nuggets. I don't think I could do a full show about like my favorite places to get chicken wings.
Yeah.
Buffalo wings, hot wings, I love them. But maybe a future show is the chicken nugget comparison because I got some opinions.
I love it. I actually think that would be a good guest show where everybody brings on their favorite wing.
Yeah.
And then we have a kind of a virtual taste testing where we describe what we're tasting. All right.
I love it. So
all right.
I just want to ask one more wing-related question.
Yeah.
Very important. When you eat the wing, do you prefer the drum or that, I guess called the wing?
It's called the flat. So it's wings and
Right.
flats, right?
Yep.
Okay. So I used to be a drumstick or flats. I used to be a drum. Now I like them equally, and I find that when you're sharing wings, the people that only go for drumsticks usually fill up quicker on the drumsticks. So at the end, they're gonna give you the I'm done, and there's usually like 2 flats left, and I'm like, because I feel. And I'm going to make a slight joke about this, but I really do feel this. It's your obligation to get every usable piece off that bone because it's so carnivorous, right? I mean, like, I feel like if I don't do that, that's like not eating, it's like wasting food and that sort of thing. So, and I find a lot of people have a hard time getting all the meat off the flats. It's easier because you got that gap, and I'm going to gross people out, so I'll stop talking about that. But I feel I'm really good at it, and I feel like I can actually get more sustenance off of a flat than a drumstick. So, yeah.
I'm a drumstick preferer.
Yep.
When I've done a very, very unscientific polls. It seems like more people I've run into prefer the flat. But I also like that you have a strategy for your wing sharing. I love that. I did not. Now I do. So
yeah. Let people go in heavy. First of all, I have a high tolerance to spicy heat things, peppery, spicy heat things. So, actually, my sister and I do, and we swear that this may be a genetic thing because it's just weird that when everybody else is kind of having meltdown, we're kind of like, yeah, it's a little hot, and but not tearing and that sort of thing. So I do think there might be some genetic disposition to it. But let me point out to Sam, no, Sam. What I pride myself in is I can eat the flat and leave all that gross stuff behind without leaving meat behind. So, yeah, and I'll be honest, there's gross things on both the flats and the drums. There are some gross cartilage type things on a drum as well that you gotta be careful. You gotta finesse it with the teeth. See, this is gross. But with the flat, it's a different part, but yes, there is some gross stuff on there, and you got to really pay attention to what you're doing. So it is surgery with your teeth. That's how I think it is.
It was Kelly Sy. She showed me the trick with the flats where she like kind of break and pull one of those 2 bones out clean. That was a great thing to learn, and it did make my love of drum. It brought that race in a lot closer.
Yeah. Sam, I know sometimes it can be confusing, but I am not a monster. If you are eating that stuff, again, serial killer list, watch list, because that is a red flag. Just saying.
Oh, man.
All right, so tonight, everybody, our topic is something that I did not know. This was a topic that we learned. Both of us were kind of excited about while we were doing another show, and it was our last show. We got to talking about vacations, and then we talked about casinos, and we had to table it because we both got so excited that we realized this is another show. Well, we didn't want to make you wait too long. We thought 3 weeks was long enough. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about casinos and gaming, because I won't call it gambling. It's gaming. I'm all about the PR.
That's right.
Yeah. So yeah, and Jerrod and I both have our own love and maybe some hate. I have a little hate towards gambling at gaming. Caught myself gaming as we'll do. But I've been it's one of the first vices that I did as an adult. And I'll tell a little story, and then Jerrod, I'm going to pass it over to you to kind of what was your entry to casino gaming and that sort of thing. But I'll date myself. But when I was between high school and then going away to college, I did 4 years at a community college in Manchester, Connecticut, and it was right around the time that Foxwoods opened. And it was only about 25-minute drive between my community college and Foxwoods. And this is when, they kept the bingo, and then it was one room. Like Foxwoods, what it was is very different than Foxwoods as it is now. But I would go. What would happen is I would schedule my classes and end up having 6 hours in between classes because I need a morning and then an afternoon, or sometimes even an evening class. So what I would do, instead of going home, which was about 25 minutes in the opposite direction, I would go to Foxwoods, because at the beginning, all you'd have to do is walk in the door and you're getting a free buffet, which was that's my gateway drug into gaming, is the free stuff, and especially food, because that's my real vice, right? So I used to go in between classes, and I started with slots, which to this day, I'm not a slot person, but I quickly learned blackjack, and I learned from people. I started doing friendly games. So people that knew blackjack would tell me when to hit and all the science behind it. So you don't make everybody angry at the table if you're hitting when you should be standing, or vice versa. Right. So then I got into craps, and it was all downhill from there. So that's kind of my entry story. That I for 4 years of my life, I was so close to Foxwoods that a week didn't go by that I probably didn't go and lay some money down on a table. How about you?
So for me, it was, even though I grew up in Connecticut, I went out to the world before I was old enough to go to the Foxwoods. And I first started 1 or 2 times. I was stationed in 29 Palms, middle of Mojave Desert in California.
Best place for a casino.
Yes. By then, there was one that had popped up out there. I still remember the Casino Morongo, a little podunk casino. If you drive on the highway out there, so here's the thing. You remember, everybody's seen Pee-wee's Big Adventure. It's a masterpiece.
Absolutely.
So you remember the part where Pee-wee's at some rest stop where there's all these giant fake dinosaurs?
Yes.
Around? That is right next to Casino Morongo. I can't tell you how exciting it is the first time you drive by the big dinosaur place. So
that is awesome.
And a buddy of mine kind of taught me, blackjack, the basics of blackjack. I did that a couple times. I tried poker a couple times there, just was way out of my depth. And then it would be when I would come home, me and my dad, that was usually me and my dad, maybe another one of his buddies or something, would go to Foxwoods and we'd play blackjack for a while. And I always enjoyed that. And my thing then was, this is back then, when we were getting ready to go, my last hand, no matter how many chips I had, if I was doing great, if I was losing money, I would bet them all on that last hand. Because don't gamble anything you're not willing to lose. And
that's exactly
really exciting. And everybody at the table is really invested at that moment. And it was a neat, fun thing to do. And then since then, it has dangerously blossomed.
Well, and here's the thing that I think has saved me from getting too making bad choices when I go gaming, is that I really enjoy the money in my pocket. I don't like risking it. I like playing once I have a little bank and I'm playing with the house's money. I love it. That's when I get hooked in. But if I don't get a little of that going, if I lose really quickly, I'm not enjoying myself at all. And that's the other thing. That's the nice thing about being local to casinos, is that you can go and maybe you can make your starting money go all afternoon, or if you lose it fast, it isn't like you've wasted a lot. It isn't like you traveled here, have a hotel, my what I was willing to risk, I blew on the first day, or that sort of thing. So yeah, and I think that's why I have a real healthy relationship. It's hard. I go with $100, right? Once I'm up $20, that 100 gets cashed out and goes back in my pocket, never to come out again. And once I lose with what I've been playing for, and I actually find it more of a challenge, because I'll bet very conservatively until I bankroll myself a little bit more, and then you kind of get into your rhythm, and with craps you can really control the odds of what you're betting with and play with that. So for me, there's a challenge in creating that with playing with the house's money. The more I have, the more risky I can be with it. That sort of thing.
I'm easily seduced by the high risk, high reward bets, and that can kind of become my downfall, because I like, maybe if you're playing blackjack, you can do this, in craps and maybe poker. You can go in there and think, I'm going to do this because I'm going to win money. I'm going here to make. I might lose some. It's riskier than getting a second job.
Yep.
I could probably do that. But boy, when you start playing the other games like that, you can really put yourself in a hole. And I was thinking about some of my in a hole or doing it really wrong or really right. And it was when I was in the military, right after I'd come back from a deployment. And I remember when I came back from my first one, I used to go to one because I was still waking up really, really early on Saturday mornings. So there was, I was living by myself, didn't really know anybody there. I showed up, went off to Iraq for a while, came back, so didn't have anybody to hang out with. So I'd go to the casino early Saturday mornings, and what I would do is I would go there with $100, play blackjack, and once I doubled my money, I'd take it and leave. And it worked out great, and it consistently did that, because if you go and play it that way, you really can do that. But then I came back from another one, and it was like, it wasn't doing too hot. So like, you know what? I'm going to take a few days, go to Vegas. Just go to one of the cheap hotels on the strip, cheap casinos, and it took me a while to pay back that trip.
Yeah.
That's where I learned how to play a lot of games.
Yeah.
Casinos during the day, especially in Vegas, not as many people in there, so they have these things to teach you how to play these different games. And there's no cheap way to learn how to gamble.
Yeah.
It's an expensive college class right there.
Well, it's funny because I when I was going during the day, craps is one of the most heavily math games out there. Like everything you do on the table is for those of you who don't know in the audience, everything you do on the table has different odds, and it also has some of the best odds in the house, right? But they're weird odds, meaning that if you put the wrong bet on the table, they have to give you change. So that's really frowned upon. They want you may have to kick up, instead of a $5 bet, you got to go to a $7 bet, or depending on what the odds are, so that it pays out evenly, which it can be a little daunting, because now all of a sudden, what do you mean what I put down on the table is wrong? And depending on what the odds are of the number coming up on the dice, it changes. So every game, it's a new rule. So there are times where don't put the extra money down, because it won't come on ever again. So, but during the day, the pit bosses, and just so you all know, if you're a pit boss, you've been a dealer for a long time at that game, and you are really an expert. So the pit bosses, when they don't have a lot of things to do, are very happy to help new players, because it's in their best interest. You want to get somebody that's in it. And also the professional, and when I say professional, it's just people that it doesn't look like they have day jobs and they just sit there forever. They love, all you have to say is, it's okay to teach me, mansplain away. I don't care. I want to learn from it. And then they go from being a little bit hostile, like he doesn't know what he's doing. Oh, he admits he doesn't do it. I can people love telling you their methods and things like that. So that's how I learned. And then craps is when you can also pick somebody that looks like they're doing real well and match their bets, do exactly what they're doing. That's the other thing I've done. So
when I learned how to play craps, it was on that trip at that casino.
Yeah.
One of the great things about Vegas, we'll talk a little bit more about this during this show, is every casino in Vegas, you're gambling, you're drinking for free. And it's 24 hours. So, I might be down there at 10 in the morning, and I'm already getting in it. It would turn into a thing where there's more and more people there. There's this crowd.
Oh, yeah. And the energy, and
I threw dice off the table so many times. throw those dice, and one of them goes flying out of there. I was that guy.
That's and just so everybody knows that aren't big craps people, that may be the worst thing you can do at the craps table, right? The other thing you can do, the absolute worst thing you can do is make it so that the dealer can't see the dice. You got to keep your hand open, and so you can't switch the dice out to put a funny dice in there. So that's number one. But then tossing it just everything. We have to restart the process all over again. So it's and when you're on a roll, people are like, no. So
I had this little thing where I'd like make circle and I'd go fetch you. Oh yeah, I was a mess. I'm much classier craft player now. But I remember hearing a thing, and I Googled this. So as you don't know, like let's say you're the one throwing the dice in craps. The longer you're throwing the dice, the more money you and everybody else at the table is winning. You just go and go and go, basically until you roll a 7. A little bit more to it than that, but that's the general gist. And I read about someone in Atlantic City who had set the record for the longest craps roll in history. I Googled it. I won't even make you a guess because that's crazy, but I wrote it right over here. It was 4 hours and 18 minutes. That's 154 rolls.
I was going to say, did they break it down by how many rolls?
Yeah.
That's amazing. So in all that time,
everybody's just making money.
Wow.
They cheat.
Because you lose the dice, goes to the next person when you roll a 7 after the come out roll.
Yep.
So that means in all of that time, a 7 was never rolled, and 153. Because it could have been a bunch of 7s in a row at the beginning before they come out. See, 7s aren't bad when you first roll the dice, but once another number comes up that's not a craps number, a puck gets placed, and that's the number. Now you're betting that number is going to come up before the 7. That's the traditional bet. So
it is impossible to describe craps to somebody.
Yeah, it really is. I'm just bored everybody to tears. Let me just say that yes, it's statistically improbable.
It was the numbers are 1 in over a trillion. Of that happening, and she went up to the table with $100. She didn't say how much she won, but it was estimated at about $180,000 that she walked away from the craps table with. And that's for a game that doesn't have like crazy high odds. That's and then blackjack.
And then the superstitious the gamers are going to be letting it ride, and they really believe that this will never come to an end. Like they will. Yeah. So the longer it goes on, the higher people are betting because they just want to be in on it. At least that's what I think.
So it's kind of crazy now. I looked it up. 30 states in America have either commercial or tribal casinos.
Okay.
I've been in many states. I've been to a lot of casinos all over the place. To me, it's just kind of everywhere now. But to think back when Foxwoods and Mohegan were first getting built, it was a huge deal because only Vegas and Atlantic City had casinos in the United States. You might have to go to a cruise so you could get in international waters, but that was really it.
Yeah. It's certainly has changed, but isn't that true of all what people consider vices, right? It goes from one extreme and then slowly. So I mean, we're going through it with marijuana right now. It was unheard of for it to be legalized, except for Colorado was it for a while. For recreational marijuana, and then same with medicinal. It started and then slowly slid. So that it reaches a tipping point. But with casinos, that happened probably 15 years ago, where it seemed like, the states look at it and like it's such a good revenue. Yeah. It's hard to not take it seriously, right? Yeah. It's funny, Jerrod. I've only been to Foxwoods, Mohegan, Twin River. I went to, if you can even call it a casino, but the Newport Highlight, the old they had that turned into like mostly slots and a few table games. Those are the only casinos I've been to. Yeah, I've never even been to Atlantic City.
I have been to a lot of casinos. I went to Atlantic City once, and when you're like Atlantic, and I've been to Vegas a few times, and I love Las Vegas.
Yeah.
But when you're there, it's like you walk down the street and walk by a ton of casinos. Underrated great thing about that, if you ever have to go to the bathroom, you can walk right into a casino and find a bathroom. So you never.
It's very true, and that's true of all casinos, not just Vegas. I feel like, not that you're really going to be walking by Foxwoods, but
Right. When
yeah.
you get to those areas, it is. And Atlantic City, when I went, it looked run down.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
just like that. Vegas is always cool. It's because of the casinos, it's so much more than the gambling now.
Yeah.
Vegas is cool. The Strip is cool. You go there, people are like dressed to the nines, hanging out. There's the old Strip up in North Vegas, which is, I think, even cooler than the current Strip now. It's really neat stuff. I have been in so many casinos. I have, every time you go to a casino, you get a card. I've gotten rid of a lot, and I still probably have a stack somewhere. And I haven't been to a casino out of Connecticut or Rhode Island since, God, probably 8 years.
Well, yeah. I mean, the only thing that is a pain about local casinos is that there's too much demand for what's out there. So, like in Vegas, you can kind of find the table at the price entry point you want pretty much anywhere. You just have to walk around and find it at different casinos. But with Foxwoods, it used to be you could find $5 tables everywhere. Now they're during the middle of the day slow time, and even then they start shutting down tables rather than make it go that low to force you to play a 10 or God. I've only a couple times played a $25 table because I'm too cheap with my money. $25 to me it seems like a lot for one chance, So yeah.
So it's, if you ever drive into Nevada, gambling is legal. Casinos are legal throughout the state. So when you're outside of Vegas, when you're in Vegas, the big signs on the side of the road, dollar, blackjack.
Yeah,
they are really, really putting it out there for you.
Yeah. See, that's my dream, is because I want to play for longevity. For me, almost walking away with significant, I don't ever think I'm going to walk away with significant money, because and I've watched it. I've studied it, because I also, when there's been times where like I said, I won't reach back into my pocket, and I've gone through what I wanted to lose in a day early. So what I'll do then is I'll just watch people, and what I'll do is I'll watch people that bet similar to me to see how they do, and their chip pile stays very similar the entire time. It does grow, but very slowly. But the people that are making a lot of money, their chips go up. They just will risk more, and I think that's where I think, like you said, to paraphrase for you, it's kind of like catnip, those big risky bets, and that's where they have no fear, and they'll and a lot of times they come out on top and double their chip count and that sort of thing, or even even with craps, they're making the most risky bets on the table, right? They're doing the long odds and that sort of thing because the payout's so good.
So I know you said before you're a craps and blackjack guy. I still do enjoy some craps. I don't play blackjack nearly as much as I used to. I just found that I enjoy other games more because they are the dumber ones to play, the carnival games, the high risk.
I mean, I still will go to a roulette table every once in a while, just for.
I've only played roulette a few times. I just couldn't get into it. I end up liking games with cards, like Ultimate Holder is my favorite. 3-card poker, everything like that. Here's the thing about blackjack. Not only is it the one that has, the lowest, it's not high risk, high reward like other games, but I still have a strategy. I still enjoy playing it. But blackjack has the shittiest other players at the table.
Oh, you are so right about
the casino. I cannot stand. I'm like in public. In general, I'm out there. I'm social. I'm not a confrontational person. Blackjack is the table where I get into it with people.
I have too, and I'm not. That is not my personality type. I'll be like, I'm a very big. All right, you're showing your ignorance. I'm just letting it roll off my back. But at those tables, they feel like, hey, I put down my $5. You have to bet the way that makes the most sense. Like
Right.
because for those of you who don't play, because you're all playing out of the same deck of cards, what you do on your turn how they view it impacts them. That's the cards they're going to get. So you're supposed to stay on a higher card like 17, 18. You really should stay. The odds are better, and they play by the odds. Well, if you're new or you just what I feel like a 4 is going to come up on my 17. I'm gonna play it. That will drive these people nuts. Like I don't think in their lives, I don't think anything would upset them more than you doing that. So it's kind of like, well, I can do what I want. It's my money on the table. If you think that's a foolish bet, that's fine. But because they feel you've just taken their card, like if I didn't ask for another card, then the card after that would have been theirs or whatever that, so they start playing that game. Like, if you just done it, I would have won. And now I got this. And I'm like, it's all random.
Well, I have one very controversial
strategy
with blackjack.
Yeah.
That is when a dealer is showing a 6, if I get 2 10s, I split them.
Okay. It is controversial. It is controversial because a dealer's going to have to hit on a 16. It's kind of the worst position for a dealer to be in because there's more cards that'll make them bust than there are that will allow them to stay in. And also, even if they get a low card, you probably will beat them with an 18 or a 19 or something like that. So I could see that, but I really feel the odds are you're going to get a 20. There are more 10s in the deck than anything else. So the odds are if you split your 10s, you could be holding 2 20s as a bet. And if that person hits and doesn't beat a 20 or goes bust, you're sitting pretty.
Yep.
Yeah. But they will fight you on that. They will fight you on that. I know that. Yeah.
Really upset.
Yep.
I had a guy once, and this is me and my dad were playing, and I was little young jarhead Jerrod then too, so I was a little bit more maybe a little less tolerant of people being assholes. And the guy starts going on with that. The point of this game is to win. Oh, is that what it is, buddy? Oh, thanks for filling me in.
Yeah.
Oh, I really wanted to get into a fight.
Well,
it's a great rule. Don't get into a fight with someone in a casino.
Yeah, absolutely.
Old West saloons, yes.
Casinos, no. But that's a really good point. Is the problem with blackjack is the people at the table, they make you feel like it should be a team sport. Like everybody's got a say on what you're going to bet and what you do impacts their game. It is not a team sport. It's me against the dealer. Right. That's what I like about casinos is that these are things you are against the house and the dealer represents the house, So yeah, I agree. I usually go for at the beginning. First of all, it's usually easier. I'm superstitious about tables, and meaning that I feel like they go through a series of good highs where there's a lot of payouts and then lows where there's a lot of just can't get a rhythm going. It's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever done jump roping. When you got to jump into the jump rope, you kind of got to wait for your moment.
Yeah,
that's how I feel with tables. So with blackjack, it's really easy to jump in on a table, get a feel for it, and if it ain't happening, just move to another table. Yeah. With craps, it takes a little bit longer to get a feel. And then if you're at Foxwoods or Mohegan, to find an area where you can actually get to the table because they fill up so quickly. So yeah, I usually start with blackjack just to get into that mindset of risking money and kind of getting comfortable and getting any stupid mistakes out of it because I'm rusty out early. Yeah.
I like casinos too. I like them.
Me too.
One thing I never want to be at a casino is like a known regular, someone who's really in the club.
Yep. No.
Nothing against that, but if I'm part of that community, I feel like I've reached a dangerous point in my life.
Yes.
So I do try to avoid that at all costs. Here's one thing that just one thing I learn and relearn every time I'm in a casino is how many smokers there are around where I live. Completely blows my mind, and it's the last place. Like, I've got 2 daughters now who are old enough I could bring them to a casino at
Yep.
over 18. And I think if they've never gone before, the first thing they would really notice is like, oh my
It's the
God, how many
smoke.
people are smoking? To think like it's not like the 80s anymore when you walk into restaurants and grocery stores and that would be the case.
Well, let me tell you this, Jerrod. One of our traditional events at Johnson & Wales University, for those of you who don't know, I work at Johnson & Wales University and I put on events with students. I think that's my job. One of the events we do every year is a semi-formal at the ballroom at Twin River Casino. So a lot of times these are students' first time at any kind of casino. The whole reason we do it there is they like that they can kind of disappear from the dance and go play a few games and then come back and that sort of thing. And at Twin River, I don't know if we said this before, we might have said it off air, but it's mostly smoke. And then every other casino seems to have a smoking area, but then a big non-smoking. But when you go down to it's kind of, when you've hit the smoking area because your eyes start to tear. And if you're not a smoker, even if you are, it's so much smoke. But at Twin River, they don't really cordon it off. It's just like the old days with the restaurants where there's a non-smoking section, but if you're unlucky, you're one table away from the smoking section. So really, there's no imaginary air wall there that's going to keep the smoke out. Same with Twin River. And 18 to 22-year-olds who don't remember when smoking was legal in public places, that it is a culture shock. And almost all of them, like, are they supposed to be smoking up there? They think people are getting away with things like it's a speakeasy. It's almost like, oh, it's prohibition. There shouldn't be alcohol up there. It's how dare they smoke? And I'm like, no, it's the tribal nation. They have different rules,
What else? Twin Rivers is also, if you've never been there, if I want to walk in the door of Twin Rivers, and there was nobody else in there, I was walking in by myself, it would smell super smoky.
Yeah.
It just got a smoker's vibe to it.
Yep.
Barely a casino.
Well, and it was...
Like if you walk on the Strip in Vegas, there are some little ones like Twin Rivers, but mostly they're the bigger, grandiose ones. Because to me, you're not really a full casino unless you have a buffet.
I totally agree with you.
Yes, and casino buffets are wonderful, except Foxwoods.
Excellent said. It used to be much better. You couldn't beat Foxwoods back in the day for whatever reason. When Mohegan started, they said, you know what? Let Mohegan have the good buffets. We're going to go middle of the road. Yeah, and we're going to jack up the price and make it so hard for you to get credit for everybody's paying for our buffet, which is a travesty.
Yeah, it is a travesty because if I'm having a bad day gambling,
at least I get a free meal.
Never lose at the casino.
Yeah,
or at the buffet, I should say. Casino buffets are so good. I hope they're coming back soon. The real reason I wanted the world to reopen, why I'm so pro-vaccine, is because I want buffets back.
I agree. Now, let me tell you this. I have a friend in New York who said he went into a Ruby Tuesdays and they had the salad bar open. Oh, so it can't be long.
Foxwoods or Mohegan.
It can't be long. Connecticut follows suits with New York so hard. So if they're allowing them in New York, then it can't be too long.
I cannot wait.
Because then I feel like even if I lost money, I feel like I came out ahead because, I would have paid. Not that I won't eat at the buffet if I got to pay for it, unless I'm really, really hungry and excited for it. But I'll just get something cheaper in the mall or whatever, the food court there. Yeah. But I do feel that the times I don't feel poor about digging into that pocket is when I got a free meal out of it at the buffet. Like I just feel like, that's cool.
I get my. I don't care. Casino buffet can be a little pricey. I am getting my money's worth.
All right. I agree with this. I liked Foxwoods when the theme was the Mashantucket tribe everything kind of went back to them. It was an opportunity for folks that would never learn about their tribe's heritage or Native American heritage and together, and then they took care of everything. But yeah, then the change started coming out, and that was controversial because one of the things they made an agreement with the state of Connecticut was they would never open it up to the MGMs of the world and that sort of thing, and that's exactly what they did. So I know that was a little controversial, but yes, I agree, Amy. It did start going downhill, and then Sam said a little earlier that she was traumatized. She had one casino experience, and that she was traumatized at day 18. Sad rite of passage. I didn't win. And my one time at the casino, I feel
like when my grandmother would go to the casino with her thing full of pennies to pay the penny slots.
Yeah, I do know a lot of people that they didn't like the feeling of losing their first time or their first few times, and that killed them of any interest in doing it. And I can understand that. That's like touching a hot stove. If I touch it,
poo-poo anybody who doesn't like to gamble or go to casinos, because it's considered a vice for a reason. Now, I have an opinion on something.
Okay.
Foxwoods
is
the better casino for gambling. Mohegan Sun is the better casino for pretty much everything else.
Okay. I will concede some things. First of all, Mohegan Sun doesn't have a big poker, if any, poker area. It's just at Foxwoods.
Well, Mohegan Sun does have one, but
they do. It's very, very small, and so I feel like although I've never had the nerve to play poker, because that's, you really got to know what you're doing. You're really going to get. That's how I feel. I just feel like I'd make a fool out of myself.
It's an intimidating game.
And I'll play poker online, but that's very different than having the cards in front of you and the etiquette and that sort of thing. But I do feel like casinos, for the gaming part of it, like you said. They have to have a buffet. They also have to have poker, and it has to be a significant poker.
Yeah.
I do appreciate that. I also think their bookmaking is better at Foxwoods. Not that I do that much, but they have sports lounges, and you can bet just about anything like you do in Vegas. Foxwoods is better set up than Mohegan. Mohegan feels like, even though it's not a family place, it feels like it's set up to be a family place.
Yeah.
Like, they put more time and effort into the shopping experience, and they have the better performance venue, I think. They have the better... they have a better small concert and comedy venue than Foxwood does. Although Foxwood
has the better big one.
Yeah, it has the better big one. So yeah, I could get on board with this. So that okay. So
blows.
Well, yeah. I mean, it just is. So what are your criteria to saying that Foxwoods for gaming is better than Mohegan?
Because I have never won money at Mohegan Sun. Never. Foxwoods, I have plenty of time. I'm sure I've lost more than I've won there. Mohegan Sun, I never, ever, ever win.
Yeah.
Never. And I just don't get it. So I'm convinced there's something about Mohegan Sun that makes it a worse casino to gamble.
That's interesting.
Does have more table games than Mohegan Sun does. And I do like a lot of those.
They have more floor space dedicated to
for a while,
games. Because they also had like 10 years on Mohegan Sun too. So they for the most part the casinos have just been expanding. I mean, they're always in this perpetual adding. If not
measured by like floor space for gambling, Foxwoods at one point in time was the biggest casino.
Oh yeah, I remember that time. Those times. So. We have some good information coming in. Amy says Mohegan Sun opened a new poker room just before COVID, so that could change some things.
So I do want to say about that. They did have a room. They called it a poker room. It was almost like they had a space where like a little convention area that they put a bunch of tables in, and had very small tournaments there. And it was one of the frustrating things with poker. So we said blackjack is the game where people will most likely to get pissy with you when you're playing. The only other table game I've ever seen that happen at all is craps a little bit. When somebody's placing a bet and the other side, if somebody's throwing and it hits the hand and always doesn't, so that one. Poker, the thing that will get poker players upset is when people play poorly and still win.
Oh.
I have run into that at Mohegan so many times where people are making really terrible bets and plays and they end up winning. And does that have to do with casino? No, it's math. It'll all even out over
It'll all even out, right? But
damn, if Mohegan Sun, that it was uncanny. Uncanny having that happen. And I think Mohegan Sun is nicer. I think
I do too. Aesthetically, nicer. I get excited when I go to Mohegan Sun, but you're right. I think if I'm going to truly have an opportunity to get to the table, Foxwoods is right. I never really thought about it, but today I'm gonna co-sign that. And let's just talk about the bingo room. Let's just talk about it, right? So Foxwoods, Mohegan does not have a bingo room. Foxwoods started as a high-stakes bingo hall before casino gambling was approved in Connecticut. They were able to do high-stakes bingo. And I just remember adults, because this is when I was in high school, and that's where I worked at theater, and the owner's mom would go every weekend to play the bingo. And then more often than not, she'd come home and say, "Oh yeah, I won $1,000." And to me, to win $1,000 playing bingo is just, and this is late '80s. That's significant back then. It's significant now. And
I do want to try and chime in and say, like, the bingo at Foxwoods is a pretty good deal. It's hours and hours, and it might, depending on when you go, either $15 or $25 total. $1 to buy a dauber, and that's really it. You get
and buying the dauber is a rite of passage. Like, and you buy it once, it's going to last you. The hardest part about a dauber is remembering where you put it in between playing bingo, or getting tired of dropping it on the floor because it's been on your desk forever and throwing it in the trash because they're only worth $1. That sort of thing. Those are the two. That's the challenge. No, you're absolutely right. It's the best. It's the best value for what you can do. If you're going for being able to play games for the longest amount of time for the least amount of money, is my bird. Everybody say hi to Oscar. That's the bird that's in my house. If you can hear him, he's I think he's telling us he wants to go to bed. But anyways, so it's you can go for, it starts like early bingo starts at like 4:30 in the afternoon, and then you're usually walking out of there around 10:30, 11, and you've paid for, there are bargain days where buy-in is $15 or $20, and you can walk out. Each game is worth about $750. They're going to, and again, it's like playing bingo. If only one person in this huge room, this aircraft hangar of a room, if only one person gets bingo, they walk out with that full amount. But if they, if you split it, you end up splitting it. But even if you split it, you could walk out with 50. It's still fun.
I won.
Did you?
At Foxwoods. I went with my mom on her birthday, took her to play bingo at Foxwoods, and she didn't win. I won. It was a $700 one. I split it with somebody else. But and she's gone quite a bit. And that moment there where it's like, you can see the next number that's coming up, but you can't technically mark it off until they call it. And it came up and I was going to win. And my mother's right next to me, and she's like, "I'm so nervous." It was a fun thing. I like gambling. I like playing poker and stuff. Yeah. But if there was a group of people who all wanted to go play bingo at Foxwoods, I would want to go along.
It's a very, very cheap thing to do with a group of people. I highly recommend it. It's also a great winter. Well, it's a great summer activity when it's hot because it's air conditioned. It's a great winter activity because there's nothing else going on. It gets dark so early, and you're in this room. You don't know what anything's happening out. So, seal of approval. And I think Jerrod and I said, if you were to invite us, back when we feel more comfortable going to casinos, if you were to invite us to bingo, we would be part of that party. No ands, ifs, or buts. It's fun.
I have enough of a gambling addiction that if you invite me this Friday, I'll go with you.
Yeah.
So
that's it. That's it.
There, world.
There it is.
I want to talk about something else here now too.
Yeah.
A couple things. Casino chips.
Yes.
So I read a case. it was like 8-9 years ago in Virginia. It was like a Navy admiral got busted. He was part of a ring where they were counterfeiting casino chips. And it made me think, why don't more people do that? That seems like a very, very much easier thing to counterfeit the money. Not that I'm advocating that. That is too high of a risk for me to take in my life when it starts to talk about counterfeiting. But it does make me wonder, what kind of protections do casinos take about that? If I was willing to just blow $25 and get a $25 chip from a casino and brought it home and cut it in half, would I find something like a chip or something like that in it that...
I gotta think now. I think back when I started, there was the technology wasn't there. So I've always, I am a rule follower almost to a fault, and not that it's not a morality thing. I'm just so afraid of getting caught on a lot of stuff. So there's a little insight into my psyche. But I always play mind games of how I would do something if I were to do it.
Yeah.
And you spend a lot of time looking at chips at the casino, or feeling them in your pocket. And I have gone down that road. I'm like, these have to be easier than money to counterfeit, to make an exact replica. Because the thing is that they're not, it doesn't look like when you cash them in, anybody's checking them to see if they're counterfeit. They just have to feel the same, quick look to make sure they look different. You don't look different, that sort of thing. But you got to think that they're chipped. I almost wonder if...
it feels like they're heavier than just how much that plastic would weigh, but you don't think about it when you're at the casino actually holding them. It isn't until you're thinking like, oh, yeah, counterfeit. I wonder what's going on with that you start to really think about it. So here's my other thing to talk about.
All right,
Don't scratch your eye after you've been handling casino chips.
Oh God, yeah.
I've been to some, and like if you play a poker tournament,
it's true with money too.
Money, yeah, but I'm never handling.
You're never playing with your money for that long. You're always touching your chips.
$200 of $5 chips. I've never got $200 worth of $5 bills that I'm playing with and going back and forth with it for casino.
Till I win the lottery, I'm not going to roll around in money. Right? That's the day I cash it all out and get a.
Not going to put a poker casino chip in my mouth. And I've been to some places like poker. If you play in a poker tournament, it'll say $500 on it, but it doesn't really have $500 worth of value. Right. It's just the value in that poker tournament.
Right.
Some of those are like a lot of times the real shitty chips.
Yeah.
And I've seen some filthy ones there because poker chips get a lot of touches all the time. Table games get a lot too, and it just I read. Because, so Ian and I were talking about it before, and I have Friday off, and I was thinking, I miss going and maybe
Jerrod's looking for a buddy to go to the casino on Friday. He won't say it, but I'm going to say it out loud.
But man, those filthy ass poker chips or just casino chips.
Yeah.
So I read about Foxwoods. They're like, many times a day we clean them with our all natural cleaner / disinfectant, whatever. But, those. A lot of hands, and I've seen some.
Lot of hands. Ones. Yeah. I would be Sam. I'd be totally into at a later date a big group trip. I'm sure I also not only because of COVID, but I'm shying away this weekend because it's a huge vacation week. So with the 4th of July, so I just feel like if we're going to do a big group, I want newbies to have that good experience of being able to walk up on tables. The crowds don't make me shy away normally as far as I'll get on the table I want to get at, but it is frustrating if you're new because you really want that instant gratification, and sometimes it takes a little while to get to the table you want to take to. But I would do that. I would do 2 trips, or I would do a really long trip where we do morning bingo and then end with gaming.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
I used to do one in California on Friday nights where I'd go to a casino. They had like a $40 or $50 poker tournament I'd buy into.
Yeah.
I would always end up at the final table. And the way it works a lot of times with poker tournaments, you get to the final table, and maybe the top 10 places you win money. The higher you finish, the more money you win. But you'll get to the last table, or maybe like a section of the last table when it's half gone, and you'll do what's called chopping, where everybody just gets the same amount. Or sometimes if there's a really high chip leader, they will take more, a little bit more, which whatever, make the call. So I'd walk out of it consistently with at least $200 at that point, and then I'd go to the table games with that. And if I blew it, I really only blew $50 that night. But there's a few times I win really big, and it just feels more special.
It feels so special. It feels. All right, let me catch up on a little of these comments because boy, they exploded. Welcome everybody. Sam Oscar says hi. He's settling down. The cover's been put on him. Could you make more money at bingo and investing? I will say this, other than listening, there really is no skill in bingo. You got to listen. And I'll tell you haven't played bingo until you play it at Foxwoods. Those number callers, they go fast. And if you make the mistake of talking at your table, a septuagenarian will hit you with a cane. So, you don't, that's
sweet grannies.
Yeah. We talked about how mean blackjack people are. I think bingo goers are actually meaner. And they coordinate outfits, so there's a lot of time invested in it. So no, you're going to get really lucky and make more money in a day at bingo than you will at work, unless you have a high paying job. But it's going to be few and far between. It is not, winning at bingo is rare. Let's see. Bingo is way more fun than work. I agree with that. I didn't know this. You can watch people playing bingo on TikTok Live. I will be looking that up after this show. I want to check that out.
I will not be watching people play.
I'll be honest with you. One of the most popular things I've done from work is I've been doing online bingo for JWU students. So I have, it was pretty much every month I would call on Zoom bingo. And I do it like Foxwoods. I make it really, really, you got to listen, side chat. And I give them a lot of cards. So they have to, because I found this place that does virtual cards. It's a lot of fun, but I'm excited to actually watch bingo and actually play bingo. I haven't played and I've called it so much. Let's see. Julius, I'd rather hang with disgruntled nugs, elderly, and horny priests to play bingo. Okay, that's fair. Fake chips. Julius says maybe it has something to do with the cameras on subbing out. But Julius, I don't think the cameras could catch it because you can put the chips in your pocket at any point. You can swip that out. No, and you can walk so far away. It would be hard to track everybody. But that's a good thought. Amy says she'd be more likely to learn how to count cards than to see, Amy, I don't like work. And counterfeiting chips is a one-time work investment, and then you just produce, right? Or you can find somebody to do it for you, although that's riskier because they could turn you in, right? The safest is to get a kiln and do it yourself in your house. Learning to count cards takes math, and to be good at it, you got to do it every time. So for me, it's I might as well just get 5 jobs and earn my money that way. That's how I feel
about card counting and blackjack. Yeah. And the thing with it is you've got to have a lot of money that you are walking in with.
Yep.
You're not going to really make anything counting cards with $100 or $200. The other thing, to really do it, when they talk about the ones who really make good money doing it, it's a team. Yeah. It's when the deck gets to the point where they're going to be throwing out more tens. Then everybody has to, you give the sign, the other 3 people there come to your table and make a lot of really big bets.
If you haven't read, there's a movie based on it too, but if you haven't read the book by the MIT group that went out to Vegas and actually caused quite a stir and kind of changed a lot of things about card counting in their system, it's amazing because it really was a 10-person operation, and it was about waiting for the you have one person playing at the table doing the card counting, and then they created this math system. Once they've been doing math in the head, they're not actually counting the cards. They're doing, for every 10 you add a point or that sort of thing. And when it gets to this secret number, that's when you call everybody at the table and they start winning big because it's about to, all the bad cards have been played out of the shoe, and they can win more. And that's more what card counting is at this point, because the casinos, nobody uses one deck to play blackjack anymore or any of those type of things. They have a shoe of 8 decks of cards, and it's nearly impossible to keep track of that.
They want people to go and big counting cards.
Yeah, because they're gonna bet big and lose it most likely.
Well, yeah, I mean, unless you've got the capital to go in with it, you really got that good strategy. It's just jerks like me and you going in, I'm going to count cards and I'm going to win big. And those people, you're throwing your money away when you're doing it. It's not counting cards, but just the common sense things. When you're playing with a lot of people and you see a lot of cards on the table, more so a single deck than multi-deck, but in general, the math will average out. If you don't see many 10s going up, I think it's 40% of the deck is 10s, 35% is 10s. You're not seeing very many 10s. You're more likely to flip over a 10, and same with vice versa. And that's as close as I think it's worth getting.
Yeah, I agree. All right, I have to bring this one up. Sam says, my personal FBI agent is raising his eyebrow. Yes, I keep my personal FBI agent jumping all the time. Sometimes I just talk about bombs and just to make sure they're earning their keep. But I also anticipate that after tonight, our Ian and Jerrod's Humpday Extravaganza will be placed on a list. And it's a strategy because it'll get our viewer count up. Yeah, so welcome FBI, CIA, all the alphabet agencies. Welcome. Let's see. They can exchange all of us. We can get a group. Oh, wow. You all are talking. Oh, yeah. 21 movie. Yep. That's what it was called. 21. Bringing Down the House is the book. Thanks, Amy. I couldn't remember it for the life of me. It made me sad that I didn't go to MIT. 21 is a great movie, but the book is far more detailed and accurate. So if you're really interested in the card counting aspect, read the book. If you just like the drama of it, the movie, I recommend doing both. What does Amy say? I'm probably saying exactly what she said, but the book is so much better, particularly discussion on how they really took down Foxwoods and Mohegan. That's right. They practiced at Foxwoods and Mohegan before they took it out to Vegas because it was local.
I'm always up for hearing the little guy take it to the big guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Sam, thank you for sending that link. I believe it's probably the bingo. It's a TikTok link, so I just saw it pop up. Awesome. Yeah. So what haven't we covered on casinos?
The dealers. I have thoughts and opinions on the dealers. Now, I will say I am not one of those people who is like embarrassing at restaurants or fast food places or anything like that. Right. I always nice to people, always respectful to people who are they're just doing a job. They're not there to take your shit. They're trying to do a job. Treat them with respect. That's how I am. And I'm the same way when it comes to dealers. And I don't need a dealer who when a dealer wants to talk a lot and joke around. I love doing that. But if they just want to be quiet and dole out the cards, I'm cool with that too.
Me too.
Unless I'm either there with somebody else and I've got them to talk to, or I'm by myself. And I'm probably pretty happy at that point in time just kind of playing the cards. So those two things, I don't have a preference one way or the other. The dealers who talk shit, haven't run into a lot, but I have run into a few in my life who they think that they are so smart dealing this game and are actively talking shit about the way you're playing, I
agree. I think I'm as somebody that has worked on the service side of that interaction, but I all my jobs before, actually even my job now is very much customer service. So I really do. I am 100% respectful, and I will take a little. I recognize bad days, and sometimes your server may slight you in a way or that sort of thing, and I turn the other cheek because I'm like, it's still I'm probably have a better day than they are. Like it doesn't really bother me at all, but I do believe in that situation, I can't give shit to the dealer. That would be irresponsible. Then they shouldn't do this. If you don't do the behavior that I can't do to you in reverse. Like I feel like it's just got to be civil. And I believe me, we just talked about dealing with other players and how difficult they can be as a player. So just imagine the person with the perceived power at the table, because they're viewed as the keeper of the rules, but really they're not. They're on camera and the pit boss is, and then ultimately whoever's watching high in the sky is really calling the shots, right? So, but it is frustrating when you're trying to be on your best behavior and they're antagonizing you. Yeah, I agree. I think that's the worst sin. I also think they're not cut out to be dealers, and I don't think they last long. I usually see a lot the ones I've seen that have worked there forever and ever, and you start to recognize because you've been there are the people that really do have a good rapport, and can also shut down the drunk loud ones. And again, it's even worse than being a bartender or a cocktail server, which is the worst job because you take assholes and you take assholes, give them alcohol, they're bigger assholes. I mean, excuse my frankness on that. So I think cocktail servers, especially women, there's no bigger sin. It was same thing with dealers. You add alcohol to this mix and people gambling away their life savings, and you're going to get somebody
big. You're just the guy giving out the cards, but they're
I didn't enter a contract in with you, like you don't, So
I would even say that to offset that, well, Bob, I guess it's just really stuck with me. I can think of one or two in particular in my life when I go to a certain casino a lot, just being such a douche about everything and talking shit. But I will also, I have to absolutely say I have more times felt uncomfortable with the way other people have treated the dealer, like Sam right there. I mean, if you're a dealer, and I think
I have witnessed the dealer getting, and it's always well, yeah, it's always, as with everything in life, it seems, white dudes going after women usually, but there's definitely a bully mentality there that, and one of the best things that I love is when someone's being rude to the dealer, is all of a sudden I can say things that the dealer can't. I don't do it to antagonize. I just do it to take them down a peg. Like, you can't be a bully. We're not going to stand by him idly. And usually I can get the table to kind of like, simmer down, and then they become the butt of the joke. And I take that as a win. And then, and then at that point, usually the dealer, when it's not, will thank me for it or that sort of thing. And I feel like, cool, that's how you're not a bystander. You actively do it. But now we're getting into a weird topic.
But I do think most people who are going and playing whatever in a casino, they want to enjoy themselves. So I think, when there's somebody like being an ass, more people at the table are uncomfortable with that than are comfortable with that. So, you say something, there's more people. I've had times where I've done the same thing because Lord knows I am a smart ass.
Yeah, I mean, we got to use our powers for good. I mean, we think we're funny. We got to use those powers for goods, right? And that's how you do it.
And the dealers and pit bosses, they're just people.
Yeah,
I remember I was at one casino,
and they're not even well-paid people. Like, that's the other thing is people assume because there's so much money getting changed hands, they're not the best-paying jobs. I mean, they're okay, but they're not. They're not people. I think there's people out there that are like, they get a taste of this casino money. No, they're getting paid hourly. Or I think the pit bosses are salary, but they're not huge.
Yeah, I've helped drunk people at the table before, and then just the appreciation from the dealers and the pit bosses is right there. Yeah.
I don't know the answer to this, Julius, but I think I'm smart, so that probably makes me more of an ass. I think there's a correlation of how smart you think you are to really how big an ass you are. Although the converse may not be true. If I thought I was an ass, does that make me less smart? I don't know. I feel like you can't answer this. Other people have to answer this question for you. feel like I know Jerrod's smart and he's an ass. I think we're both that.
A lot of smart, lot of
lot of smart, lot of ass. So just when you use it, that's all. It's about using it.
So one other thing about casinos, I'm not a big drinker.
No, me neither.
Really don't drink that often. And even if I'm like going to casinos where I'm driving, I'm probably not going to drink anything at all. But I still think it's shady when casinos don't offer free drinks to gamblers.
Right.
Honestly, like in Vegas, if I'm there and I'm by myself, there's enough wrong with me to be in that position where, yeah, of course I want to drink a lot while I'm here, and I've gotten tanked. Just never paying it. You always tip the cocktail waitress.
Always.
And never, I'm very, again, a respectful person. I'm not like hitting on. They get so much shit. So I just try to be a friendly person. Make sure that, I always tip them. Never be like gross. Never even pretend to hit on them or anything like that. They get
enough of that.
I am just, and it's in so many places. I loathe the thought of somebody being nice to me for no other reason than they have to, but at that moment they really don't want to be.
Yeah.
That stays with me.
That's icky. That's real icky. It's bad enough that they got to be nice to you, but then to do it when they don't want to. Like, I feel like when I'm in a service position, I want to be nice to everybody. And then my mentality, it's a challenge to be nice to everybody and that sort of thing. But if there's somebody that's just blatantly being gross to you and whatever that means to you, and you still have to be nice, that to me, that's ugh.
I would have a hard time falling asleep that night if that was me. That being said, it doesn't even have to be high quality liquor, high quality alcohol, but it should be free if you're gambling. I don't have any like big philosophical reason for that. It's just casinos been doing it before, and now that I've had it, the thought of a casino not doing it just aggravates me. Even if I don't drink anything at all while I'm there, I just think that's the way it should be.
And Jerrod, are they talking about get rid of the soft drinks? Because that's my vice. I actually don't like drinking. It is not a sacrifice to, even when there's a wedding with an open bar, there's a good chance I'm not going to drink there. I don't like the taste of alcohol. However, soft drinks are my vice. I love.
They put a little lemon in your Diet Coke.
They put a little lemon in my Diet Coke. And the other nice thing is they usually have a cocktail tray loaded with non-alcoholic beverages, so you don't have to wait for it to be made. And I always hate ordering when you're at a table game. You're waiting for the cocktail to come back to you, and then you feel like you got to stay there. And if they take a half hour, which could be on a busy night, it could take a while for the drinks to come back to you, then I feel like stuck at that table. Like I got to wait for my drink.
So one thing they have at Twin Rivers,
and
they have at Foxwoods in the bingo room are the soda fountains, where you can just go there and get the cup and the ice and get your own soda right there. I wish more of the world existed with those.
Well, that's bingo. That's also bingo. Bingo. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Foxwoods That's one of the good things about Twin Rivers is they've got that free cup of soda right there for you.
I want to be floating home. That's my goal. Totally sober, but peeing just like I had beer all night. That's my goal. That's my goal.
Yeah, I will. I don't drink much anyways. I won't drink if I'm going to be driving. I really don't want to drink that much, even if I'm going to be a passenger, because I don't want to feel drunk while I'm riding in a car with somebody. I don't like that feeling. And
let's not even talk about, like, it's in the casino's best interest for you to lower your inhibition, which is why they give away free drinks. I want to be at my best self if I've got money on the line. Again, I hate putting money on the line. I'm cheap that way. So for me, if I woke up the next morning and felt I made bad decisions because my inhibitions were lowered, and I've had enough of those evenings that that have happened. I've learned my lesson is that I just when you're on alcohol, sometimes you don't make the best decisions. So for me, I avoid it, or if I have it, it'll be the last thing I have after I'm kind of done gaming.
Right. Yeah. Yep. Free sodas is cool, but I do think it's shady when they don't offer free alcohol or a box.
And here's the thing. I am too. It doesn't impact me, but I still think it's a crappy thing to do.
Yeah. And Foxwoods, I know it used to be they'd stop at midnight. Stop serving alcohol at midnight. And it's like, okay, on the one hand, I will agree that is a socially conscious choice. But on the other hand, that's still some bullshit, and I'm going to say it.
Well, here's the thing. Do they stop doing the free drinks at midnight? Are the bars still open? Can you get drinks at midnight?
Oh, I think you can still go to the...
See, that's shady. Like, if they shut the whole thing down, still I don't agree with it, but at least, okay, it's consistent. But if they're just stopping the free alcohol at midnight, then that's That's
I
bull.
might be wrong.
Yeah.
But
I don't think you are, because I think the clubs go to 2 and
yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
Bullshit right there.
So casinos, I think we covered it.
I think so, and now I'm really wanting to.
I know. I'm like, and it's problematic that they're open 24 hours. It really is. There has been, one of the best times I've had during college. My friends, we were actually, it might have been after college, but after college, my college friends stayed close. We all were living. I went to school in Springfield, Mass, which has a casino in it now that I have not been to. But I went. We all were local a few years after college, so we continued pretty much being college students even without going to college. So I remember one night we were all hanging out. It must have been about 1:00 in the morning, and none of my friends are huge drinkers, so we were still very sober, and we were going to go to New York City the next day. So somehow we got the idea we were going to get in a car, drive to Foxwoods, play for a little while, see if we can start driving to New York City, stop in one of those 95 towns that don't have any attractions other than they are on Route 95, and see if we can get a hotel room for some hours. Like, can we get a night worker to give us like a cheap rate? Because we were going to get up. We really were. We're going to get up at 7 and continue going to New York City. The plan worked. We did all of that. And it was probably one of the most fun things to start your evening. Like, it must have been about 12:30 when we decided to go. So we get to Foxwoods like at 2:30. I think we were at the hotel by like 5:30, and I think we checked out at like 7:30. Like 2 hours of sleep. Things you can only do in your early 20s, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll always remember that evening. The fun part of that evening was the stay up all night and grab a hotel room. New York was fine, but that was, and it wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't for Foxwoods.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this was before Foxwoods had as many hotel rooms. So when you stayed at Foxwoods, it was either you were getting comped or it was really expensive. So.
Yeah, I haven't looked in a while. I've looked before because, I'd want to just avoid the drive, even though I live close by. And once it's over, Foxwoods rooms are more expensive than they need to be. I'm sorry. It's just not a destination. It's not like you're going to Vegas or Atlantic City where there's so much more going on there. You're going to freaking Foxwoods. When are you going to take a trip to Groton?
But people will do it, and it's people with money. And what happens is, because I know a couple of folks that have gambled the game with more money than I do, and and they will get comped hotel rooms all the time. And I think what they're looking at is your home address. And if you're within driving distance, they realize you're never going to you're probably not going to pay full price for a hotel room to go game. So they give you the hotel room, and then they figure, well, now we got you for 2 days of gaming, because you're going to come in early, you're going to game, you're going to stay up late, do all that stuff. You're probably going to eat in the restaurants, all that stuff. So really, when you look at it, the cost of the hotel room is a small percentage of the money you're going to lay out, and it keeps you there longer. So there definitely is, and I think it's in their best interest to say, these are expensive hotel rooms, because then you think you're getting something more than you actually are.
That goes back into what I said earlier of I never want to be part of the casino in crowd or club.
Yeah,
and I feel like, and I wish I sometimes think I wish I had the disposable income where I could go to a casino and gamble enough to get free hotel room comps, everything like that. But you know what? I'm doing okay now, and I would feel really weird if my life had a lot of that. I'd be too much of the now. The difference.
But what about retired, Jerrod? That's where I feel you can.
When I was one place I lived, there was a casino nearby me called Ocean's 11, and when I say casino, it was really not a casino. There was no slot machines.
Okay.
There was one very small room of table games. It was a poker house. Is what it was. And it
one
was
step from being illegal.
Oh, it was great. Like a lot of professional poker players. It really helped me become a better poker player. They'd have a tournament every night. They had cash games there and everything. And that I didn't really mind as much, because I feel like poker and gambling are two different things. Like poker, I enjoy doing because I just enjoy playing poker a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of poker, you're not doing, and you do have to do more in a tournament. But a lot of it, you're not doing. You're you're folding over and over.
Yeah.
Even the table games for me, there's still so much more of an allure of getting that big win, or just things other than the actual enjoying of the playing of the game. That that's where I feel I'm gambling. Whereas when I'm playing poker, I don't feel like I'm gambling.
Right. Like you're using a skill, right? I mean, if you're using a skill, there's no gamble there. You're playing a game. Yeah.
That story when I would go to the casino and, play a low stakes poker tournament and win enough money from that to go play table games, it never didn't work. It never failed. And I'm not going to get on here and say I'm some kind of great shakes poker player, because I'm not. If I was, that's what I would be doing. But I am good enough to go to a smaller place like that I was going to end up at that final table. I was going to end up doing well. Really no matter how good of a blackjack player you are, it's tough to make a living just playing blackjack.
You're so right. You're so right. It's just like, it's too close to 50% odds to be able to rely on it. It just is, You're going to dip too low and then lose your bank, and then, what are you going to do? So,
yeah.
Anyways, anything you want to plug before we wrap up today?
I don't think I have anything yet, but tentatively, I'm looking at my calendar right now.
And if anybody in the audience has anything to plug, put it in here. I'll throw it up on the screen.
So, I think it's, I feel very sure, August 6th.
Yep.
Right now, Bring Your Own Improv is coming back to the Warwick Center for the Arts, doing our first in-person show.
In-person shows?
Yep.
Oh, I'm getting my ticket now.
Yeah, we've done a few rehearsals and everything already, so we are really excited about
that is exciting.
Live improv. A lot of the people that I perform with there, I've only performed with online.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
The first time I've had a chance to play in person with a lot of people. Great. I miss it so much. I cannot tell you how much I miss, and I'm looking forward to having an audience to laugh. Oh, I miss it so much.
Hey, Julius, just look up Bring Your Own Improv. There probably isn't a link yet for tickets, but do a Google search for Bring Your Own Improv in Warwick, Jerrod, or Cranston. I always forget.
Warwick.
In Warwick, yeah. So do a look, bookmark that, and as it gets closer, check it out. They do amazing short form. My class, I'm teaching level 1. Julius is in it, and they're my plug. But first, they pointed out that all the Drew Carey, Whose Line Is It Anyways, made it to HBO Max. So I don't know if it's hidden. I had to look for it, but I started watching all the seasons of Whose Line Is It Anyway? So if you're a fan of short form and you're a fan of Drew Carey's Drew Carey, but I love the cast of characters that are on that. Ryan Stiles is a personal hero, Colin Mockery, Wayne Brady, all those folks.
That show is how I learned about improv.
Yeah,
I grew up in a small town. I went off and I joined the Marines. I didn't know what improv was until that show came out. Changed everything for me, because that was the first thing. I was trying to write jokes for stand-up, and it's like, it doesn't really feel like me. That is the first time that I looked at someone and said, that is the comedy that speaks to me.
My only criticism, and I think it's because, I'm certainly more aware than I used to be, is I wish they just had a little bit. They have women that are on there. I'm not saying they don't, but it can be a few shows before you see another woman pop up, and the women they have on there are funny. So I would have loved if a regular was a woman, but I just wanted to point that out because it was noticeable when I went through a few episodes. I was like, oh wow, it's all these dudes. All right. Yes, British. Whose Line Was It Anyway? Gateway. Was your Gateway? Mine too, Amy. I knew the British version before I knew the American version. Although I didn't understand the concept of improv and just thought it was a funny show. Like I didn't think this was a thing you could do. And then it wasn't until later.
I'm going to throw out an unpopular Whose Line opinion.
You like the American version better?
I like the American version.
I knew you were going to say it. No, I get it. I mean, it's all sensibility. I think it's probably because Drew Carey kind of drives me nuts a little bit. I'm not a huge Drew Carey fan. As an actor, I think he's okay hosting that. I think he's really funny at times, but his show drove me up a wall. But again, he cast all his buddies, and I love the side characters on that show. He just drove me nuts.
Yeah, so here's why
Blame the producer.
One. Too many times, and I think British comedians now are fantastic. My favorite comedian in the world right now is Sean Locke. But during the time that show was being done, which was really early mid '90s, I was not as impressed by those British improvisers, and they would on that show tell jokes that were jokes that were out there, jokes that everybody already knew. They would tell those jokes, and that predictable comedy I hate. That is the kind of comedy that I don't like. And that's what British comedy was quite a bit during that time.
Got you. Amy says Clive Anderson is greater than Aisha Tyler and greater than Drew Carey. I have a soft spot in my heart for Aisha Tyler, but I will concede and say that I can buy into that. Jared's not going to agree, but I will. Josie Lawrence is an amazing improviser. Yep, totally agree.
Let's throw up there. Amy's got a plug that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I saw it, and then I got so interested in this British. Here we go. So, Amy, she's going to be providing Friday night. This Friday night, the 2nd of July. Can you believe it's July tomorrow? I can't. 10 p.m. Eastern in the Impro Theater Community Jam Online. How would people find this, Amy? And feel free to throw it in the comments too, because these comments follow the video. So. Also, if you want, I can, if that's too difficult, Facebook message me the link and I'll throw it in the official.
I would say Amy has really done a lot of really.
Yeah, she's been doing Groundlings. I feel like she's a contemporary of Phil Hartman, who's one of my favorite comedians of all time. Rest in peace. And we talked about Pee-wee's Big Adventure tonight. Paul Rubens is a Groundlings. So many people come from Groundlings. And now Amy Kahn.
Perform at the Groundlings.
Yes, that's one of the great things about COVID is how much opportunity you could do things virtually. So distance and proximity made no difference. So that's awesome. Okay. So yeah, check out Amy's stuff. Check out Amy. In general, she's hilarious, as with a lot of folks over at Bring Your Own Improv. So check them out, especially if you want to see probably the best short form that's being performed consistently in the state. I'm going to... What's that? What are you doing?
That was just me being a shithead right there.
Okay, good. So, were you saying that you're one of the best? Yes. Jerrod's in that. Despite Jerrod being in the group, they consistently
coming in at number 1.
Yes. Come on. Oh, good. Comedy Connections open mic is opening back up. That's awesome. I do want to do a shout out to the Level 1 on July 15th. It's a couple of Thursdays from now. My Level 1 that I've been working with for 8 weeks, we have, now that we're getting to the end, we have 6 really talented individuals that will be doing a montage, pretty cool, on online. So follow the Pig. It'll be on the Pig platform. So make sure you follow Providence Improv Guild. That's another, do Bring Your Own Improv, do Providence Improv Guild. Check out Kismet. I haven't done any work with Kismet, but I've seen some advertisement. Pawtucket New Theater. So Kismet
I don't
Improv.
Reached out to Pig yet, but I do know they've reached out to Bring Your Own Improv already.
Yeah, and I know.
I'd like to see,
Yeah, I'm trying to plug everything I've seen. Oh, my God. My most exciting thing that happened this week? I actually went to
Tell me the most exciting thing that happened to you this week.
I went to a live improv show at the Contemporary Theater Company. They did their annual, and this is really special to me because one of the first people I met when doing improv was Jack Albanese, who happened to pass away 5 years ago this past weekend. And so the Contemporary Theater Company, ever since the anniversary of his passing, Jack, whenever he performed, wore red pants, a black t-shirt, and red sneakers. So they do something called Red Pants, and they do a form called the Maestro. So they do Red Pants Maestro, and they've done some scripted, and they've done they're musical, but they haven't done a maestro in all of the time of COVID. So they did it on Friday night, and we got to sit outside on their patio and watch honest to goodness improv happen. And this weekend I got to do that, and I went back to the movie theater. So I don't think I could have been happier feeling getting back to normal. So
if going back to the movie theater.
Yeah. So check out, as these theaters start slowly opening, they've been hurting for ticket sales. So check Contemporary Theater online. Bring Your Own Improv's coming back. Pig is talking about, there's rumblings about them coming back. Kismet Theater, the group in Newport, I don't know if they're coming back yet, but there's a group in Newport.
I always tell people, live comedy is far and away the funniest comedy.
Yep. As Julia says, there's open mics happening, so even if it's not improv, stand-up is happening. So seek it out, because we have to make up for 18 months of these houses being pretty much dark, other than these online things and that sort of thing. So that's my goodwill plug. But again, the 15th, come see Julius and his classmates try out improv in front of a live audience for the first time. And I'm hoping Big Venti will be the headline of that night too. I've reached out to them, and they're making sure they can clear it. And then the next night will be Sitting Ducks podcast on all the Pig channels too. So 15th, 16th, check it out. Nice. Check it out. Cool. All right, man, this is our longest show to date. Congratulations.
And I didn't have very much to go on, because every subject was stuff that I really like.
Yeah, no, and
off about casinos. Why am I not going more?
Exactly. And I want to, and on behalf of Jerrod and I, thank the audience for being so engaged in this and putting the comments. It really helps us keep the show interesting for you. We both, Jerrod and I, have been known to do a tangent once in a while, so you keep us grounded into what you want to hear, so we appreciate that. Cool. All right, man. All right, everybody in the audience, thanks for hanging out with us. Have if you appreciate the 4th of July, have a great 4th of July weekend. If you'd rather just to go away, I hope you have you and your animals have great earmuffs to put on and can avoid it, whatever it is. But I hope you get some time taking care of yourselves and celebrating however you celebrate, and enjoy some of the summer. It is going by pretty quick. I can't believe it's July tomorrow. Yeah. So, all right. Everybody, we will see you back in 2 weeks. Throw out some topics. We always love to know what we should be talking about, because we're usually figuring it out about 3 hours before the show. So, all right, everybody.
I had an idea at the beginning of the show, and I already forgot what.
Chicken. There it is. What is it?
Chicken nuggets.
Chicken nuggets. I love it. Oh, and I do want to say, I hope this becomes a regular part of our show. I want to shout out to the Rowenta iron in the background. Yeah. There it is.
Finest German engineering.
Right there. If you don't know what a Rowenta iron, I think they may be this podcast sponsor. I think I'm going to work it in. I think we'll take a page from the Sitting Ducks and get a real sponsor. So.
Look, I will say, anybody who really knows me knows how much I enjoy ironing. I really enjoy it. So no more fucking jokes about the iron.
That's a guarantee. Oh, I will say this. Maybe
I couldn't keep it straight.
You couldn't do it. But I'm wondering. I'm this close to buying a steamer for my clothes.
Ooh.
I'm very close. I
mean, that's not ironing. That's.
Yeah, right. Because I don't like ironing. I think the idea of being able to pass over something as it's hanging on a hanger is very attractive. So
I have offered for fundraisers for Pig to do the ironing, do little iron. People bring their clothes for me to, and somebody jokingly said yes, and I took it seriously. And then I asked a few weeks later, and it was Alyssa was like, "No, that's a terrible idea." But I said correct. No one's bringing a basket of their wrinkly clothes to a show.
I'll be honest. I hate ironing that much. I would do it. And then I'd feel very vindicated because the money was going to a good cause. I can do anything if I'll spend any amount of money if it goes to a good cause and gets me out of work. So, all right, everybody, we'll sign off. Have a wonderful week, and we will see you soon.